everyone, and welcome back to Youth Speaks Voices for Change. I'm your host, Sharanya Mahajan, and today's episode brings you two incredibly thought provoking conversations, both led by young change makers who aren't just talking about problems, they're actively working towards solutions. First up, we explore something close to my own journey, the CAT model by NADA India, which stands for Community Action Team. It's more than just a program, it's a mindset shift. I sat down with Aanvi Chauhan, a youth leader who has lived through this model and used it to move from simply raising awareness to actually driving grassroots changes in her community. We unpack what peer leadership really means, what actual challenges youth leaders face, and how this talk, walk, and task approach is turning passive concern into active citizenship. Then we switch gears to an equally urgent issue, the climate crisis. But this time we are looking at it through a deeply personal lens. What's happening inside our own homes? I had the chance to speak with Mr. Krish Tiwari, who conducted a survey comparing how much young people and their parents actually understand about climate change. His findings were eye opening. While youth were more informed and passionate, many families still confused climate with weather or felt unsure about how to take real action. We talked about why planting trees alone isn't enough, how to close the generation gap on climate awareness, and what role families and communities can play in driving long term environmental change. These two conversations may seem different, one about health and leadership, and the other about climate and family behavior. But they both point to one powerful truth: young people are not waiting for permission to lead, they're already doing it. They're stepping up, asking hard questions, and building bridges, whether it's between policy and practice or between parents and peers. So let's head towards the conversation now. Hi, Anvi, how are you?
Hi Sharanya, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. So let's start with the questionnaire. So my first question to you is, if you had to explain to someone, what is the CAT model and why the CAT model is more than just a youth program. So like, what would you say?
If I had to explain it to someone about the CAT model, I would first let them know what the form of CAT is, that is Community Action Team. And I would say the CAT model is a movement which is rooted in lived empathy, structure action, and peer driven impact. It is not a one time project. It's a way of looking about health problems, about mental health problems, and other societal issues from the eyes of those who are affected and solving them through youth collaborations. Youth collaborations, like, we go about doing these youth forums regularly. So हमारा ये जो youth forum वाला culture है या फिर हमारे youth campaigns वाला culture है, ये सब भी एक kind, they're a kind of cat model. And when we conduct interviews, we conduct surveys or share stories. We do not follow a manual or something, a guide, but it's just we just redefine our leadership. So cat doesn't just train you to be a volunteer, it prepares you to become a bridge between systems and people. It turns youth into trusted agents of social healing, and that's something far more powerful than any awareness program alone could achieve. So I think that's the ideology which NADA India inculcated in me and the other fellow interns who are working with me. So here we are, we experience an adult to adult relationship, and there is nobody is treated as a kid or someone who has a less, a lower say in the society. So everybody has that equal say. Everybody is equally participating, and that's a really great initiative taken by the foundation itself.
So like you're talking about your internship with NADA India, I guess अब almost 2 months complete होने वाले हैं इस चीज को. So like,
Yeah,
what is one real life moment during your internship, that made you feel like this is why youth mobilization, really matters?
So, during my internship with NADA India, I had this opportunity to go and interview an ASHA worker. So, also I would like to, bring this to your notice that वो कोई planned visit नहीं था. वो by chance I went to someone who I know, and there I, met her, and they themselves introduced me that she's the ASHA worker of the locality. And then it struck, I thought, let me just, interact, ask something, have a little knowledge about more knowledge about, what ASHA workers really do and what are their roles basically. So when she shared her story, regarding the lawyer with bone tuberculosis in our locality, and how timely diagnosis and consistent follow up, saved his life, so I was really impressed. But I also realized that most people wouldn't have known this story if someone hadn't asked, So that's when I understood youth mobilization matters, because we bring visibility to the invisible. अगर
That's
हम
very
लोग
true.
किसी चीज को क्वेश्चन ना करें, सो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि उसका रीजन निकल कर आएगा, या फिर उसके बारे में जो भी चीजें अलाइंड हैं वो भी हमें कभी पता नहीं लग पाएंगे until and unless we question them. So by sharing this case through the youth platforms या फिर youth forums जो हम करते हैं, I also changed the whole perspective into, a narrative. I narrated the story to them, and I told them about the whole case in detail, and I reinforced that mobilizing youth is not just about, numbers. You don't need to think that 20 people, I just have to increase the numbers. आज एक हो गया, दो, तीन, चार. ऐसे नहीं youth mobilize होता है. Youth mobilizing एक बहुत tedious and बहुत लंबा process है. It takes time, but it should come from within. And it's about storytelling. It's about trust building. अपने लाइफ के पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर करिए. दैट विल बिल्ड अप द कॉन्फिडेंस, दैट विल बिल्ड अप दैट कनेक्शन इन द सोसाइटी, and that will mobilize the youth as well as empower the youth. So I think that's really important.
Anvi, I think you've done a very appreciable work during your internship. So, like Anvi, NADA India really emphasizes talk, walk, and task. So, like in the cat model. So, which phase challenged you the most, and what did you, learn from it?
Sharanya, the phase which challenged me the most was the walk phase. Why? Because that was something that pushed me out from my own comfort zone. Sitting here whole day long in front of the screen, um, doing the document work, the file work, or anything theoretical. That's really easy. You just get it on internet nowadays. Use AI, use Google, use everything, and you're there. Okay, but when you step out, when you interact with those who are frontline warriors like the ASHA worker, so I think you get to know many more things. You widen your horizons by yourselves. So I think that's what I really learned, and that was the phase which challenged me the most. And the field level experience that it gave me, and the shallow listening experiences, that you need to be calm, you need to listen with depth, you need to understand what their emotions are, what they want to say. Matlab, just sit down and just listen. That's what I think. It's really important. And I don't think so कि घर पर बैठ के और स्क्रीन के सामने बैठ के टाइपिंग होल डे हम लोग ये सब नहीं ले सकते. We have to move out, we have to interact with people,
True.
talk to strangers. They have different vulnerabilities. They will definitely tell you. They will, if they feel safe, if you create an environment, मैंने एक यूथ फोरम में इसको पॉइंट आउट भी किया था that you need to normalize your conversations first. कोई भी अपने पर्सनल चीज या अपनी इनसिक्योरिटीज आपको एकदम देख के नहीं बता सकता है, because they will judge you by your face, by your appearance, and maybe they don't find you someone who they can trust. And nowadays it's not easy. हम लोग भी किसी को भी किसी भी रैंडम इंसान को हम लोग भी अपने पर्सनल इनसिक्योरिटीज एक्सपीरियंसेस नहीं शेयर करते हैं until and unless we have an acquaintance with them or we know them. So first हम लोग as youth mobilizers या फिर peer leaders, or someone who are causing the change or who are starting to be the cause for the change, हम लोगों को first we need to learn how we normalize conversations around, and let us start listening, let us start talking with empathy and respect. And it taught this walk phase of the whole campaign or the whole model of Nada India. It taught me how important it is to document stories like the Asha worker one with respect, with that empathetic tone and right questioning. That's very important. You need to adjust your behavior, as well as you need to create that environment that the other person feels relaxed and he is able to answer precisely. बिकॉज अगर हम उनके लिए वो सोफेस्टिकेटेड एनवायरनमेंट खड़ा कर देंगे इंटरव्यू के टाइम कि हम आपका इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं, वो उनके दिमाग में प्रेशर क्रिएट कर देगा एंड दे वोंट बी एबल टू गो हेड सो कूलली एंड स्मूथली. सो मैंने भी वो चीज फेस करी थी, बट slowly I turned the conversation, like having different chats regarding the locality so that she feels little comfortable. So I think the walk phase is really something that can challenge you. You need to, it pushes you out of your comfort zones fully and completely.
Thank you, Anvi, for that thoughtful response. It's really interesting, how each phase, talk, walk, and task, brings its own unique challenges and the learning curve. And Anvi, how has being part of the CAT model helped you move from just raising awareness to actually creating charge in your community?
Sharanya, initially, to be very fair, I thought that awareness alone is the key. I just think people need to be aware, and I think they can do it. But with the time, I learned awareness with action is the key. So the CAT model taught me this. I had recently fractured my foot and I wasn't able to, go out. So the interviews and the surveys, I did it the previous month. So this month I was here in one room doing nothing, just online work, everything on the screen, on the computers. And it's not that I wasn't aware about any issue. मुझे सब चीज का awareness है. I know everything about what I was doing. The sector which I work on is good health and well-being, which is SDG 3. So even around the whole topic, the good health and well-being, what updates are there, and मेरी locality के changes, मेरे area के changes, specifically Shimla के changes. I was noting them down. I was going through the surveys, but फिर भी um, you don't get that you don't get to mobilize anybody, you don't get to empower anybody, and you yourself feel very low. हमारा काम as an intern या फिर as a part of the cat community, it's our work to empower and be empowered by the others. So that really happens when you move out of your comfort zones. Again, I'm going back to the same thing which I said. So the cat model transformed my perspective first. So it gave me that confidence that I can, empower someone else who I meet. So I tried engaging in working activities like, going around, talking to people, interviewing them, surveys. And the best interview which I had was with the ASHA worker. And I truly realized how small actions, like even drafting a small post on the internet regarding your youth forum, and drafting a small punchline and then posting it there with bold headings and letting people know what you think, what's your perspective, that invites people, that attracts people. They do think that we can have something extra and they can learn something else. So I have seen it through all of my journey with Nada India and the cat model. I personally spoke to the ASHA worker and documented their struggle. I understood that health gaps are not just about information or about trust or about small things, but it's more related to dignity. When I learned about how people disrespect the ASHA workers when she shared her stories regarding doors being slammed, and she told me ki, they went for the survey and they visited some people around, and I remember her saying कि people cooperate, they do not cooperate. सो लोग कोऑपरेट करने को तैयार नहीं थे. She said this very clearly. हम लोगों ने कहा कि we are here for the survey, we are here for the check routine checkups as the ASHA worker of the locality. और लोगों को पता ही नहीं था कि वो उनके लोकेलिटी के आशा वर्कर्स हैं। दे स्टिल डिमांडेड सम आइडेंटिफिकेशन एंड सम वैलिड आईडी प्रूफ्स। फिर उन लोगों ने अपना आईडी आशा वर्कर आईडी कार्ड्स दिखाया एंड स्टिल दे वर नो आई वी डोंट थिंक सो इट्स रियल एंड पता नहीं कोई स्कैम होगा फिर से अगेन एंड स्लैमिंग द डोर्स ऑन द फेस नॉट एंटरटेनिंग देम एनी मोर. So all of this they've seen this, and she says that if people start cooperating and talking with empathy, know about the local asha workers, so that would really enhance the health status of the locality as well. सो मुझे लगता है कि वी एज यूथ कैन हेल्प देम डूइंग दिस. सबसे पहले आई जस्ट वांट कि अगर हमारे गुड हेल्थ वेलबींग के सेक्टर पे मैं बात करूं, तो मेरे को इस कैट मॉडल के थ्रू जो ये इंटरव्यू लेने का चांस मिला, मुझे इससे ये पता लगा कि व्हेन आई वाज अ किड आई डिडंट न्यू अबाउट द आशा वर्कर ऑफ माय ओन एरिया अगेन. So, and it's not right, to be honest. It is not right. So I would definitely ask you all this question. And do you all know the Asha worker of your own area? Just ask the same question to your own selves, because I believe there are majority of you sitting there, and they
Uh,
won't be knowing the Asha worker.
And I remember we had a youth forum, and I wasn't aware about, what ASHA workers are, and like, you
Exactly.
told me about it, like हमारे एरिया में इतनी आशा वर्कर्स हैं और वो सब मुझे उस दिन नॉलेज मिला इस चीज का कि अच्छा ऐसा भी कुछ होता है, उससे पहले मुझे आइडिया ही नहीं था।
Exactly, Sharanya. Yahi hai. This is the reality. Even we, we've passed schools and we are here, but still we get to know about this so late. So after when I interviewed the Asha worker, I made sure that I came back home. I talked to my sister. I sat with her and I told her कि हमारे locality में 3 आशा workers हैं, and I talked to Sudha Krishnan, Miss Sudha Krishnan, and she's the आशा worker, one of the आशा workers. एंड उन्होंने मुझे जो जो बताया आई टोल्ड हर. एंड मैंने उसको ये भी समझाया कि हाउ वी नीड टू बी समवन हु कैन रिस्पेक्ट देम, बिकॉज दे आर द ब्रिजेस बिटवीन द गैप of the public healthcare system and the local healthcare system, the central healthcare system and the local healthcare system. सो अगर उनको हम रिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर सकते या फिर हम उनको वैसा ट्रीटमेंट नहीं देंगे, तो वो जो गैप हमारा पब्लिक सेंट्रल हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम और लोकल हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम के बीच में वो कभी फिल ही नहीं हो पाएगा. एंड इतनी ज्यादा वल्नरेबल सिचुएशंस में है, यू सी देयर आर मेनी कम्युनिटीज वहां पे लोग. आई ड्यूरिंग द इंटरव्यू उसने ही मुझे द आशा वर्कर ही ओनली सेड दैट when she used to talk to people around, there are some vulnerable groups who were scared of coming to the PHC and getting their checkups done, routine checkups done. Why? Because what I asked her about the basic fear and phobias. So उन्होंने मुझे ये बोला कि पैसा, money could be one. Okay, because they cannot afford. ठीक है. Other, they fear if big is diagnosed, something big is diagnosed. What would their reaction be? How will they afford it? And they will not be able to get the appropriate treatment to the disease. So these are different insecurities within the vulnerable groups. So पहले की तरह ही मैं यही बोलूंगी कि if we want to collaborate with ASHA workers, उनके साथ काम करना है, so empathizing the talk that cat models teaches us really deeply, वो सबसे ज्यादा बेसिक की है कि हम लोगों को कैसे डिफरेंट सेक्शंस ऑफ द सोसाइटी के लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करना चाहिए. There are different bases, different tones, and empathetic tone is the best for such situations. And because I don't think so, leading by authority is great. I already spoke about this, peer leadership and all. Leading by authority isn't great in such issues. You need to have that empathetic tone in yourself. You need to be grounded. You need to work as a peer leader, not as someone who is an authoritarian or who is someone who's ruling or commanding. Okay, that's great professionally. I would agree. You need it for your professional basis. You need to be commanding. Fine, perfectly okay. But when you step out into the society, when you go and talk to people who are someone around you, someone among the crowd that you sometime long before you used to be with, or someone who is from the vulnerable sections, वो सेक्शंस जो हमारी तरह बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज जिनके पास नहीं है, जो अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं इतनी सारी चीजें जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं, वो सेक्शंस जो हमारी तरह ही हैं। बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनको फिर आज तक इतना नॉलेज नहीं होगा, बट professionally speaking to someone or normally speaking to someone has difference. So I think this is what cat model taught me, and I think this is the greatest skill that I've learned, and I will definitely keep this in mind forever. How I need to present myself, how I need to talk to people who I live with, who I interact with on with daily basis, and those people who somehow are not able to have the same opportunities or the um same type of uh, anything you say, the same type of education, same type of healthcare facilities, same type of luxuries that we can afford. So I think when I'll be talking to them, so I know how I can do it. So this is just because of the cat model, and it helped me inculcate this in myself, and I've really seen a big change. I now definitely am not scared, I'm not underconfident. I can go out, I can speak, and I know how I have to talk, or किस आदमी के साथ कैसे बात की जानी चाहिए. So that's the basic thing I would say cat model taught me.
This was such an insightful conversation, Anvi. And I feel like कि इस internship के बाद हम सब बहुत changed individuals हैं. Like if I talk about myself, I know how to present myself to people now. जब हम यहाँ पर आए थे, we were scared. Even when जब वो पहला youth forum हुआ था, we were like
Yeah.
so scared to even present ourselves and talk to people about it. But now it has totally changed. Like the cat model has taught us so many things. So, thank you so much, Anvi, for sharing your experiences and insights with us today. It's inspiring to see, how young leaders like you are not just talking about change, but actively walking the talk and taking on the task of transforming communities. So, your journey through the CAT model beautifully highlights the power of peer leadership, lived experience, and youth driven action. We hope your story sparks the same sense of purpose in others as it has in us. So thank you once again for being with us today.
Thank you, Sharanya. Thank you so much.
So would you like to tell us about, the survey you conducted on climate change now?
Yeah, so I recently conducted a survey to explore how families understand and respond to the issue of climate change. The aim was to see the level of awareness across the generations and to find out whether climate change concerns are translating into real life action at the family level. The survey involved around 40 families, each including at least one parent and one young person, such as teenager or a young adult. What made this survey unique was its focus on comparing perceptions between youth and their parents. What we found was quite revealing. Yeah, young participants showed a stronger understanding of climate related issues. They used more scientific languages and were clearly influenced by education and online platforms. On the other hand, while parents had heard of climate change and many struggle with key concepts and often confuse it with regular weather changes, in terms of action, the majority of families were not actively involved in climate friendly practices. A few had taken steps like reducing plastic use or using public transports, but most were either passive or had only participated in isolated efforts such as tree planting events. And
Wow.
another strike. Wait, I have more. Another striking insight was the way each generation viewed the future. Young people expressed concerns about how climate change could directly impact their lives from extreme weather to future career choices, while many parents did not see it as an urgent or pressing issue. So, yeah, that's it.
Wow, Krish, one of the most, interesting takeaways from your survey was that young people seem to have a better understanding of climate change than their parents. And why do you think that is? What's fueling this generational difference in awareness?
Uh, Young people today have greater access to information through formal education and digital media. Most schools now include environmental studies as part of their curriculum, and terms like global warming and carbon emission, rising sea levels are frequently discussed in classrooms. Social media and online platforms like YouTube or Instagram This exposure makes them more aware and better informed. In contrast, parents, especially those who did not grow up with such environmental education, often rely on traditional news sources or hearsay where climate change may not be explained scientifically. This generation gap in exposure and learning has led to a difference in understanding. Moreover, youth are more connected to global conversations around climate change through influences and climate activities.
That's fascinating. It really shows how access to information and education is evolving for the younger generation. So, Krish, you mentioned that even when families are aware of climate change, they're often not taking specific action about it. So, why do you think that gap exists? Is it like lack of resources, maybe time, urgency, or something else?
Well, awareness doesn't always lead to action. Many people are aware of climate change but feel powerless to make a difference or don't know what specific actions they can take. For families, especially in urban or semi urban India, day to day survival and responsibilities like work, education, and household management often take priority. Additionally, there's a misconception that climate action must be something big or complex, like installing solar panels or switching to electric vehicles. Many families overlook smaller achievable steps such as reducing plastic use, conserving water, or using public transport. This indicates a need for more relatable, actionable climate solutions that fit into the average family's routine. Another factor could be that climate change is still seen as a global problem, not something that affects them directly. Unless people see how it connects to their lives through health, finances, or local weather, they may not feel motivated to act.
Yes, and that makes us think about how we translate awareness into everyday practice, right? So, one of the more helpful stats was that 60% of the families had planted a tree. That's amazing, but do you think one-time actions like this are enough, or should, there be a part, you know, bit bigger than this, a sustained habit maybe?
Uh, while planting a tree is a positive step, it should not be treated as a one time symbolic gesture. Climate action needs to be consistent and part of a long term lifestyle shift. Planting trees during school or colony events is often done for social or ceremonial reasons, and follow up care is rarely ensured. Without consistent nurturing, many of these trees do not survive or make a lasting environmental impact.
I totally agree. It's a great start, but we need to, follow through.
Huh.
So you also notice that many parents are confused about weather and climate. That might seem like a small thing, but it actually says a lot. So why do you think this confusion tells us about the state of environmental education in India?
Confusion between weather and climate reveals a gap in basic environmental literacy among the older generation. Many parents in the survey equated unusual weather like hotter summers or delayed rain with climate change, but lacked an understanding of the long-term pattern define long-term patterns that define climate. This suggests that earlier education systems either did not emphasize environmental science or taught it in a way that it didn't connect with real life experience. It also points to the lack of public communication around climate issue, like India. In India, news reports and public awareness campaigns often focus on extreme events without explaining their connection to the climate. This makes it difficult for the general public to differentiate between day-to-day weather variations and long-term climate shifts. More community-level education, simple infographics, and vernacular language materials help bridge this understanding.
Exactly. Without that foundational clarity, it's hard to expect long-term behavioral changes. And finally, Krish, in your opinion, how can community-led initiatives or local events help families take more consistent climate action altogether?
Community initiatives are critical in turning individual awareness into collective action. When families see others around them participating in climate efforts, it creates a sense of unity and shared purpose. Events like community cleanups, tree planting act drives, or plastic free days provide both awareness and motivation. Moreover, community events can simplify climate concepts and demonstrate practical actions in a relatable way. For example, a neighborhood workshop on composting or a film screen on climate issue can spark interest and engagement. Local governments and NGOs can support these initiatives by providing resources, tools, or recognition to participating families. Most importantly, community events make climate action visible and social. When people act together, they feel supported and more committed. It also helps normalize behaviors like carrying cloth bags or using bicycles, which might otherwise feel inconvenient if done alone.
So, absolutely. Feel like when families see others taking action, it can really shift mindsets, like from why bother to why not us, also. So, thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Krish, for sharing your survey and insights. This has been eye opening. And everyone listening, I'd love to throw a question your way. What's one small climate action your family does, or they wish they did? Let us know in the chat box.